Do you agree with the 2021 House of Commons vote that China's persecution of Uyghurs is a genocide?
Look, do
you believe that the Chinese government is perpetrating a genocide on the Uyghur people?
Wow.
The longer Mark Carney tries to proclaim that he upholds human rights, the more scrutiny he draws. Earlier this week, we showed a video back in 2021 where Mark Carney could not answer whether he agreed with Justin Trudeau's own Liberal government that China was committing a genocide against the Uyghurs. Yesterday, he was asked that exact same question with the same response. And now this morning, Blacklock's has released a story that Carney's government is covering up their own investigation into their investments with the Asian Infrastructure Bank, using over $100 million of taxpayer money. Let's take a look.
Do you believe that the Chinese government is perpetrating a genocide on the Uyghur people? Put shareholder profits aside and just focus on humanity here for a moment.
I'm focused on humanity. I spend
so yes or no?
I'm focused on humanity, which
yes
is
or no?
dedicated to my.
Yes or no?
I'm deeply concerned by the situation and with the.
Yes or no?
Thank you very much, Mr. Poilievre. Unfortunately,
shareholders first, protecting the profits.
Thank you
over the
very
people.
much, Mr. Poilievre.
So that was from back in 2021, and this video occurred 3 months after the vote in the House of Commons, where the House of Commons unanimously, aside from the abstention from the entire Liberal cabinet, condemned the genocide that was going on in China. So this is not really a hard question for Mr. Carney to answer, but he refused to answer. And it's funny that we dropped this just the other day because we didn't expect, although we hoped Mark Carney would be asked this very same question at a subsequent press conference, and he was. Maybe there's hope for legacy media yet.
Global News. Prime Minister, do you agree with the 2021 House of Commons vote that China's persecution of Uyghurs is a genocide?
Look, there are fundamental issues in terms of China's treatment of the Uyghurs in the past, and they've been rightly called out.
Do you agree that it's ongoing?
That it's ongoing. There are serious issues that remain, which is why I've raised human rights issues with my Chinese counterparts in our engagement, and it's why it's essential in our dealings with China and commercial dealings with China that we have transparency in terms of where goods come from, the treatment of those workers, and that they fully meet our standards in terms of child labor, slave labor, human rights.
He still can't say yes. You wonder why that is. It was almost the exact same response. Literally the same, like it's crazy. This isn't something that's really up for debate, Mr. Carney. Why are you having a hard time actually answering the question? The majority of the Liberal Party in 2021 was able to say yes. The Conservatives were able to say yes. Michael Chong was targeted by China for voting against China's interests. Why is this hard, Mr. Carney? We all know why it's hard. But why is this hard, Mr. Carney? And the interesting thing is we got to see the contrast, because the man that was actually asking this question in 2021 was had Mark Carney's response put to him in his press conference.
Hi there, this is Mark Woodhouse with Global News. I've got a question here. The Prime Minister today said there are fundamental issues in terms of China's treatment of the Uyghurs in the past. And when asked if he agrees with the 2021 House of Commons vote that China's persecution of Uyghurs is a genocide, what do you make of that response?
Can you just repeat the last part? I didn't catch that.
Let me just pull it. When asked if he agrees with the 2021 House of Commons vote that China's persecution of Uyghurs is a genocide, the Prime Minister today said that there are fundamental issues in terms of China's treatment of the Uyghurs in the past. And what's your take on that?
Wow. So he couldn't even agree with the motion that the Liberals adopted. Wow. So it looks like the Davos speech was all a big illusion. Remember, he said he was going to put his values ahead of superpowers and authoritarian regimes. Well, now he is showing that he will not put his values forward. Rather, he will pander to a foreign hostile dictatorship on issues of slavery and genocide. If Mr. Carney does not have the courage to stand up against slavery and genocide, what does he have the courage to do? How can he be trusted to stand up for Canada? Mr. Carney continues to hold millions of dollars of investment in Brookfield, which is massively expanding its investments in the People's Republic of China. He flew to Beijing in order to secure a massive loan from a government-backed bank just before he became Prime Minister. What my message to Mr. Carney is it's time for him to put people ahead of profit, to put values ahead of corporate interests, and to stand up for what is right, as he promised in his Davos speech allusion.
Wow is right. Like it's you can argue it's one thing to say it as you're a private member of a company and that's your job, fine. But when you have that exact same reaction as the Prime Minister of Canada, it's just becoming more and more clear that all of us who've been looking into Mr. Carney for the last year and a half, some cases longer, we're being proven right. And those people that have been sold this absolute facade of Mr. Carney by the Liberal Party, by the legacy media, including CBC, it's becoming clear that that was a false bill of goods. And people are now going to have to confront that Mr. Carney is not who he say he is. And his values are not what he says they are. His values are actually all documented in a book called Values. And that's the Mark Carney that is being revealed day by day. You know, he wouldn't fire a candidate. He wouldn't remove him from the candidacy during the election for advocating that a Canadian citizen be kidnapped, taken down to the Chinese consulate, and shipped back to China for a bounty. Wouldn't fire that candidate. Oh, well, you know, he's served his community. I bet he did. I bet he did. And he cannot even comment on what is going on in China while he's removing all of the safeguards in Canadian government to actually protect against importing goods that are a result of forced labor and slave labor and child labor. So, bravo to Mr. Poilievre for taking a firm stance on that. But he's right. He's right. There's a lot of investments at stake here in China. And Mr. Carney's investments in Brookfield compromise his position to be able to actually speak to Canadian values on these issues. But there's something else that needs looking into as well. Breaking today from Blacklock's reporter, concealed China probe. The Department of Finance will not disclose the findings of an internal review into allegations it invested millions in a Chinese Communist Party front. The department censored contents of a 2025 briefing note to Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne. The note updated Canada's 2023 suspension of formal dealings with the Asian Infrastructure Bank in Beijing. Cabinet boycotted bank meetings but would not withdraw $159.2 million US worth of bank shares it purchased at taxpayers' expense. Quote, Canada's participation at the bank has been suspended since June 14, 2023, following allegations raised by Mr. Bob Pickard, a Canadian citizen, the former Director General of Communications at the bank, end quote, said the memo, Canada's involvement in the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Quote, while Canada continues to hold shares in the bank, officials are not participating in board and annual meetings, end quote. Quote, following Canada's announcement to halt activity, the bank undertook its own internal management review of Mr. Pickard's allegations, end quote, said the note. The findings were censored. Director General Pickard in 2023 testimony at the Commons Special Committee on Canada-China Relations described the bank as a communist front, quote, dominated by senior Communist Party members, end quote. Taxpayers did not gain, quote, a single thing of tangible value, end quote, for participating in the bank, he said. Quote, our membership in this organization was not giving this country a single thing of tangible value that we could proudly explain to people here in our country, end quote, said Pickard, who worked as Chief of Global Communications for 15 months. Chinese preoccupation with Canada's involvement was cynical self-interest, he said. Quote, 40% of the staff are Chinese nationals, many of whom are Chinese Communist Party members, end quote, said Pickard, who testified his own assistant was a party spy. Quote, I found out this Communist Party member appointed as my assistant was secretly reporting directly to the most senior party member, end quote. Quote, I had an in-house snitch reporting directly to Communist Party members what was going on, every journalist I met with, every civil society leader I met with, end quote, said Pickard. Quote, I am alleging undue Chinese Communist Party influence in the everyday operations of the bank, end quote, he added. So, Mr. Carney, why is your government trying to censor this report? Canadians would like to know. If you're interested in what was actually released, here it is. Department of Finance, Canada. So this is François-Philippe Champagne's office. Briefing note to the Minister of Finance and National Revenue. Canada's involvement in the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. For decision. Summary. Canada's participation in the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank has been halted since June 14, 2023. As the Minister of Finance, you are Canada's governor to the AIIB. Redacted. Overview. Canada's participation at the AIIB has been suspended since June 14, 2023, following allegations raised by Mr. Bob Pickard, a Canadian citizen, the former Director General of Communications at the AIIB. While Canada continues to hold its shares in the AIIB, officials are not participating in board and annual meetings. All redacted from then on. $160 million US. So that's over $200 million Canadian of taxpayer money that's in this bank. Why is it still there? What is this decision that you have to make? And why is it redacted? Why? Inquiring Canadians don't just want to know, we deserve to know. Mr. Champagne, Mr. Carney, what is going on in these discussions with your government and China? Why won't you condemn slavery in China? Why won't you condemn forced labor, specifically in China? Why are you allowing Michael Ma to stick around? The stench is getting a little larger, Mr. Carney. And it's building up this perception that something crazy is going on between our government and China. What did you discuss with China? And what is this MOU that you signed with China that you won't provide unredacted? Canadians want to know, and Canadians deserve to know. As Mr. Poilievre is fond of saying, you are not the masters, you are the servants. And your job is to serve the Canadian people. And when you're using our taxpayer dollars for something that was caught as investing in a Communist Party-run bank, Canadians deserve to know what the heck is going on.